There has never been proper evidence existing in the field of human nutrition, so-called science, popular opinion or not. So when I got rid of the remaining plant material that had been in my diet, okay, you hear people that say that, oh, you know, I went carnivore and everything was perfect the next morning. Well, bully for you.
It doesn't work like that. It didn't for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you Professor Bart Kay, which I'm really happy to see and to interview at the moment. I think it's going to be like a free chat, not like an interview. I have a lot of questions for you, but you know, I want it to be a friendly chat, not just me asking questions and you just talk all the time. I hope you're okay with that.
Sure.
And yeah, Bart Kay, Professor Bart Kay, nutritionist, physiologist, cardiovascular pathophysiologist, lecturer, and health expert. Okay, this is just a few words I can say about you. There's a lot more to say. I found many websites which say a lot of good things about you and a lot of credentials. A lot of people have still problems with it. I don't understand why. Google is so good with finding what you've done through your life, what you're doing right now, and your credentials. I don't know how anyone can still deny that, but you know, people will always do that. Bart, can you please tell us a bit about yourself? How did you become a professor? How did you get into academics?
Right. Yeah, it's a funny story. I went right through school, finished my last year of school as an 18-year-old, started doing a generic science degree at that stage, pulled out of that after a semester because wasn't for me. I was going to do something else. Spent the next 10 years doing God knows what. Played guitar in a rock band for a while, did some singing, worked in a service station for
Was it still in UK, yeah? Because you are...
This is all in New Zealand as a young man.
So because you were living in UK for a while, yeah? And you were a professor in UK.
Yeah, among other places. Yeah.
Were you born in United Kingdom? Were you born in England?
I'm a New Zealand boy. Yeah. So this all the younger life stuff is all in New Zealand.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, started a degree, pulled out of the degree, did a bunch of jobs that weren't that taxing on me particularly for 10 years. Woke up one day, my hair was falling out. I was 28. No prospects, no money in the bank, nothing saved, no profession, no occupation to fall back on. What do I do? So I looked around and I finally found a degree structure that looked like it could hold my interest because it was both about science, which I was interested in, and also sport, which was one of my other great loves in life. So sports science, what else could there be? That's perfect. So I went and did an undergraduate degree there, and I was actually I ended up working as a teaching assistant in that same place pretty much immediately on graduation. It was just like step out of the student role into a staff role. Fine. And that's when my academic career started. Several decades later, here we are, including at one point a 7-year stint living in the UK, as you mentioned. But I've taught at the university level as lecturer, senior lecturer, right up to and including up to professor rank by the end, in 10 different academic institutions on 4 different continents over 20-something years. So that's my background. So teaching, lecturing, also undertaking research myself as a research scientist and publishing those works. And then the other string in the bow of the academic is the ability of that academic to attract external funding for consultancy to do some work into some aspect of something. So I did a number of those as well for some major organizations of a multi-million-dollar nature. That's the background, basically. So several decades doing the job, credentials coming out of every orifice, a list of publications longer than your arm. That's the actual identity of the real Bart Kay, the real person that exists in the real world. What a lot of people don't understand is that what you get on YouTube is
it's a character.
It's a caricature. Yeah. Exactly. I am play acting precisely for the means of gaining your interest, gaining your click. And
entertaining people.
Exactly. So I'm trying to actually, well, entertainment, yes, but the reason for the entertainment is that's the means by which I can actually educate people by subterfuge before they realize I've done it. People hate being taught stuff at large. But if you entertain them, they don't mind what you say, and actually you can educate them without them realizing you've done it.
I mean, I absolutely love it, but I want to learn from a person which I know it doesn't have an agenda behind telling me something and explaining me something, and a person who has. It's not only about credential, which you obviously have, but it's about the knowledge, and it's about how person wants to help me, because usually we give people knowledge because we want to help someone. That's how I do. I coach people because I want to improve their health and improve their well-being. That's why I do it. It gives me strength. It gives me energy. And I'm sure you're doing it for the same reason. I know you. I feel like I know. I feel like we're related. I really do. Before we went live, I said I'm going to say a few things about you, what you've done for me in my life, and what you've done for my clients. Because after I started watching you and learning from you, my knowledge obviously evolved, and the knowledge I'm giving to other people, it evolved as well. And I know for now I saved many lives. I'm sure you did as well. I don't know if you're aware of it, but you changed completely my life. You changed completely my approach to health, to fitness, to training, to thinking about it, to simplify the knowledge to people. I coach people for almost 20 years. Okay. And the more I go into the rabbit hole, the more I learn from you, the more I simplify everything. It's absolutely crazy. 5 years of learning as a dietitian in university, which I haven't done because I feel like it's full of shit. I can minimize to 5 words, and you do it as well. And I'm thinking 5 years of learning as a dietitian, and people only need 1 sentence about nutrition and about eating and well-being. Okay, eat meat, drink some water, eat some fat, and salt to taste. It's that simple. and it's crazy as that people still go to university and people still learn for 5 years to be a nutritionist or dietitian. It's just crazy what's going on in the world. So I'm really grateful for that. You can't even imagine what feelings I have at the moment. I was more stressed to talking to you in the beginning. The more we go into it, I'm more relaxed, because I'm so grateful for your work, and I hope I meet you live one day. I hope we can have a steak, and again, I'm really, really grateful.
Awesome. I'm very glad it's been useful. Yeah,
very, very useful. I don't think you can even imagine, Bart, how many people you educated, and how many people how many people are different towards everything. Thank you to you. I mean, everything changed, everything simplified. I'm a better person. I'm a better coach. So yeah, thank you again.
Okay.
All right, Bart, I have another question for you.
Sure.
What is carnivore diet and what is the best approach? If you could tell us.
Yeah, right. So carnivore diet basically is that approach to gaining your nutrition where you do that by consuming animals and not plants, is the rule of thumb. So carnivore really just refers to food that is sourced from an animal rather than sourced from a plant. Obviously, there are levels of carnivore: 100% carnivore, which is self-explanatory; hyper-carnivore, which is generally defined as over 70%.
Which we are. We are as a human being, as our species, we are hyper carnivores.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Absolutely. Anything over about 60% from memory, they would say you could call that carnivore. And then the omnivore range starts below 60 in terms of how things are by some decree of this great consensus of whoever the hell it was have decided that's where the thresholds are. So what is a carnivore diet? It's a diet that you could say is based largely on meat up to completely on meat, somewhere in there. What's the best approach? In my mind, in my experience, what I've seen, the anecdotes I could tell you, the best approach would seem to be the 100% carnivore approach rather than the more like 70% approach.
So the more you go into meat, fat, salt, and water,
the better.
The better you feel, and the better your health theoretically should be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's where I feel the best, when I'm only on fat, meat, and water. So I've tried many approaches, and yeah, you are absolutely right. At least for me and for many more people.
Yep.
All right. So what's the best approach? Best approach is fat, meat, salt, and water.
Yep. Ideally. What I usually say to folks is 80-85% of your intake should be beef and associated fat that comes with that beef. Muscle meat, by the way, muscle meat, not organs, not, you can eat a little bit of that stuff, but you shouldn't be chasing after that and making that more important than it is. Muscle meat, beef.
This is
80-85%. Everything else in your diet, every other animal, makes up the rest of the 15%. And that's split amongst pork, lamb, poultry, fish, whatever. So, it's almost entirely a diet consisting of eating cows.
Nice. Okay. How and when did you first hear about carnivore diet, about the meat, and how was your health before that?
Probably around about however long ago it was. I mean, I started the carnivore diet. It's got to be over 8 years ago. I'm just trying to do the math to make sure I've got the numbers straight so I don't get accused of making shit up.
I'm not writing a book about you, Bart. I wouldn't worry about it that much.
There are people out there, believe it or not, mate, there are people out there making videos about me where I'll quote two slightly different numbers on the same.
I've seen those videos, Bart.
Really? Seriously? Have you got nothing better to do?
So they're just going to take one word out of your whole sentence, which is completely not true and cut out.
Anyway, 8.5 years ago or so is when I first heard about it and first started doing it.
So how did you hear about it?
It was mentioned by some people that I was connected with, was spending time with, knew on a social level. And then I started looking around the interwebs to see what was available. There was very little at that time. Not long after that, in the scheme of things, was when the Rogan interview with the Peterson well, both the Petersons were first, and then her showed up.
Yeah.
Round about the, you know, so we're talking 1990, nothing, 2018 or so, aren't we? No, 16. Yeah, 16.
Okay.
There you go. I'm just doing the backward math. It was
So,
16. So yeah, I was at the time I was in the UK working in a university there. That's when I first sort of came across it and started for myself.
So what did you think when you first heard this video and seen this video, and you're like, holy cow, this guy only eats beef, and he says his health improved. What did you think there? For me, it was it was a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the Petersons came out in the Joe Rogan Experience. I have a feeling that was around about 2018 or 19. So I'd already been doing the diet for 3 years before that. So I was already old hat.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. So when you first heard about the meat diet, what did you think there? Because it must have been a little bit crazy, because all the information we have, it goes against it. I mean, for the first 20-something years of my life, I was living, well, on crap. And then I got into chicken and rice. Yeah. And then I got into beef and salads and stuff. So when I heard about eating just meat, I was like, all right, the first question for me, where are you going to get all your nutrients from? If in the back of my mind, I always knew you have to eat plants, you have to eat vegetables and fruits because of nutrients.
All right. You need to understand that I, from birth, have been one of these people who's been wired a little bit differently in terms of thinking. I am on the autism spectrum. I have very particular thought patterns and ways of going about doing things and thinking about things. I've always been one to analyze the scientific veracity, the strength of a statement made by somebody about what science shows or what studies show or the research shows. I've always demanded, if somebody wants to make a positive statement, this is so, then they ought to be able to support that with the evidence that would be required to gain a conviction were it a criminal court case. Proper evidence is what I'm saying. There has never been proper evidence existing in the field of human nutrition, so-called science. I knew that already, because by that stage I had already taught nutrition at the university level myself.
So what did you teach in university?
At the time I was teaching nutrition, I was pretty much teaching curriculum as I was required to, but I was making commentary as I was also entitled to. Okay. Many of the institutions that I worked at over the years had an issue with the editorialization of the curriculum. And I'm like, well, that's precisely how you encourage thinking. And that's what we're doing here. We're training the next generation of thinkers. And secondly, the law protects my ability to hold and espouse any opinion to a group of students I should see fit as an academic, whether that's a popular opinion or not, actually. So that was an interesting discussion whenever we got into that. But I had been teaching nutrition already at that stage by about 5 years, for about 5 years, I should say, subserving the role, doing the job, pretty much. But getting my points across to students, letting them know that I wasn't happy about what was being said in this curriculum for various reasons. So that was a kind of the setup in terms of that. I have always been wired to demand proof of anything. And so whenever someone says to me, this is what research shows, generally the first question is, great, what research shows that? Let's have a look at it. Let's see what this research shows, shall we? Because most people that want to talk about what research shows, while they might be able to read the words of a paper, that doesn't actually mean that they're of a level of competence and comprehension of what it is they're reading to be able to competently, critically analyze it.
I'm guilty of that for sure.
For most people, it's just words on a page. And so what most people that read research really actually do is they might skim the abstract and not understand all the numbers in the middle of the abstract about the thing that was important in the first place, the results. Then they go, they skip to the end and they read the little section at the end that says conclusions, and they read what the authors have written there, and they take that to be an accurate, correct, and indicated statement of what the paper really is about, what it really does say, or whatever. No, that won't do. That won't do at all. And so that's kind of how my thinking has always been on most topics related to science or proof or cause and effect or any of those kind of logical constructions.
Okay, cool. The next question, what changed in your life after you changed your lifestyle habits?
Yeah. Okay, so when I got rid of the remaining plant material that had been in my diet, I went ketogenic, 27 years ago. So my diet was already fairly low carb, but there was a lot more plant material still in it than there is these days. When I got rid of that stuff, over the next X number of months, and we're talking 6 to 8 months it takes, you don't suddenly, everything's fixed overnight. Okay, you hear people that say that, I went carnivore and everything was perfect the next morning. Well, bully for you.
It doesn't work like that. It didn't for me.
For most of us, it takes a while. Anyway, so what cleared up for me? Pretty serious anxiety disorder, bipolar tendencies, a pretty serious case, to be honest, of fibromyalgia, various gut disturbances, disorders, problems, issues, despite so-called pretty healthy diet. And a bunch of other things I've probably forgotten right now at the moment.
So very similar to Jordan Peterson as well.
I suppose, yeah.
He had most of those issues, and they were all cleared, most of them, by eliminating plants.
Yeah.
And leaving just beef.
So while Jordan Peterson is an N=1 anecdote, so am I in that regard. And the thing is, you go around and you talk to hundreds and hundreds and thousands even of people, and in some cases with some of the people that are talking about this with subscriber counts in the millions even, we can talk to a lot of people and we can find out whether or not these stories are just single voices in the wilderness. Or
I have the same story. I have the same story. I had so many gut issues. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So actually, it's not just lone voices in the wilderness. It sounds like we're singing off the same hymn sheet because we're all experiencing pretty much the same thing, which would seem to give it some kind of basis for being taken fairly seriously. And, you know, the mindset that I was in when I was first introduced to the carnivore diet was already an absolute belligerence around everything that we are being asked to teach these students is wrong. These are lies. All of them are bought and paid for lies. So when the carnivore diet presents itself to me as an extreme form of up yours to the establishment, I grabbed it with both hands. Absolutely. I was going to prove that right straight away. Yep, I'll be in that. Where do I sign? So yeah, that's the difference between me and a lot of other academics, personality-wise, I guess.
It's very similar to me. When I started to work as a coach and personal trainer like 4 years ago in a different gym, because my old gym, everyone knew me anyway, so they knew my approach. And I started, so I moved 4 or 5 years ago. I moved to Poland. I was living in the UK for almost 18 years. So I moved back to Poland and I started coaching and teaching people in a new gym. And when other trainers saw what I do, my approach, and what I tell people to do, they thought I'm crazy. Everyone was eating all day through, all the personal trainers eating like meals every 2 hours, chicken, rice, and vegetables, chicken, rice, and vegetables, chicken all day long, okay? And I was the only one. One, I wasn't eating while I was training people because I just thought it's rude, and I wasn't hungry. But when I was eating a venison sausage, and they were like, "What is he doing? Why he's eating a sausage?" It's just crazy. And why he tells people don't do cardio, don't eat carbs, all the right stuff basically. Don't count calories, everything what everyone else was saying, I was total opposite. And those coaches and those trainers were coming to me and I'm like, what are you doing? They were like angry. Why you tell people to do this? And I'm like, because this is the right approach. And they thought I'm crazy. But the more and more my clients had good results, eliminating plants, including a lot of illnesses going into reverse, they were like, all right, we have to take this guy a bit more seriously. So after 4 years, no one questions my approach at all. No one. And a lot of people are coming to me and asking me, all right, what to do with that, what to do with that, what to do with that all day long. So I had the same thing. It was crazy. People going mad at me on Instagram. People like, how can you not count calories? What about the insulin? And I said, the insulin is the problem, not the calories. And I said, the meat is your friend, not carbs. And, you know, all this stuff you say, I was saying to people. And yeah, I was the one crazy. So,
cool. Yep.
But yeah. All right, my friend. You said about your health problems before. What I've noticed, because I'm following you. I don't know. You are 6 years on YouTube, 5 years, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So what I can say from your first videos, you got a lot more confident. So like me in the beginning of this video, which I couldn't put 2 words together because I was stressed, because I respect you so much and your knowledge, your motivation, your confidence improved. The deeper you went into carnivore diet, the more videos you did, the more confident you become, and your knowledge expressing become a lot different as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's testosterone, if it's that you feel a lot better, that your mind is working a lot better. Everything what you did, I've noticed that improved in time. What can you say about it?
Rich tapestry, all of those things may have had some role, whatever, to play. Also, just getting practiced at doing something like being in front of a camera, making videos, that kind of a thing. You naturally are going to get better at that the longer you do it, I guess. But yeah, there was still definitely some improvement going on in my health in the background from the last 6 years, of course.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
I've noticed that definitely. And I remember in your first videos, you were like, all right, we do need to eat some liver, some, like eat nose to tail, but it wasn't for long. You start questioning it straight away. And you're like, I don't think we need that. It was in your first videos, your first interviews. You were like, all right, eat some of that. And you were like, I don't think we need that. No, we don't need it at all. And straight away you went just to telling people, all right, you only need to eat flesh and fat of animals. That's it. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
So that changed as well, I've noticed.
That would be about the only thing that's changed at all in my messaging in terms of the facts of the matter. As you're talking about there, right at the very beginning.
Yeah. I
was talking about how if you're going to eat nose to tail, that's fine, but you should make sure that the proportion of what's on your plate is in line with the proportions of what's in the body of the animal that the food is taken from. So you think about the weight of a cattle beast in terms of the edible muscle meat, that might be 200 kilograms, just for a number. How much does a cow's liver weigh? Well, you know, and then you'd work out the percentage of how much on your plate should be liver from that. It wouldn't be very much. So I've never said eat a lot of liver, eat a lot of organs or anything like that. But at right at the beginning, I was saying, you know, that's the proportion, no more. And then that, as you say, that one evolved more into, well, it looks like it's not needed at all. So it becomes therefore optional. It's not going to do you any harm so long as you don't overdo it with the liver, primarily, the problematic one. Yeah.
What I've noticed, Bart, is you need more nutrients when you eat carbs. Yes. So you need more vitamins, you need more supplements when you eat carbs. That's what I've noticed. And I think to tell people that you might need a bit of organs when you transition from eating high carbs and from eating standard American or standard European diet, you know, your body might need a little bit more nutrients until you're going to go to zero carbs.
Sure.
So that's what I've noticed. When I was transitioning years and years ago, I was able to eat some liver, but the more I went into carnivore diet, I was like, all right, I couldn't eat it. And another thing I will tell you, I think venison is very, very high in nutrients because, and I think for me personally, eating just venison or deer, it's just too much nutrients because after a while it stops tasting. It doesn't taste, so I can't eat it anymore. So I don't think our body needs as much nutrients as everyone thinks, especially when we eliminate carbs.
Yeah, it's also important how that's made up because you have separate satiety signaling for proteins and fats. And something like venison is very, very lean. You can set off your satiety because you've reached a level of protein intake that's sufficient. You might, you know, you might be quite short on fat if you do that. And it's like if you made your diet up of venison and you ate nothing but venison all the time, you'd actually get a thing which is usually called rabbit starvation. It's the same thing because rabbit is also very, very lean. And you need, well, I mean, the very way we've evolved over as long as we've evolved is that we've gained the vast majority of our food intake in the form of animal fat. And so a very, very lean animal is not appropriate food long term if there was nothing else.
Well, me personally, when I was eating venison, I was adding a lot of butter. Yeah. So I knew that information from you, obviously, before. All right. Next, what are we on next? What made you want to change your career from lecturing students to lecturing humanity on YouTube?
It became a control issue eventually. I spent way too much energy arguing the toss with various deans, departmental managers, heads of department, whatever. I spent way too much time having to remind these characters that I was legally entitled to espouse any opinion I should see fit, actually, and that if I was going to point out the flaws in the curriculum to the students at the same time as I'm teaching them the curriculum, then I'm actually doing a great job of educating them and teaching them to think for themselves, etc., etc. Anywho, it got to a point where it was like, actually, you know, for the middling salary that you can attract as an academic, and for the effort that they want you to put in for that, the reward wasn't up to it in terms of salary or in terms of working conditions. All about ego, power, control, bullying, really pretty junior high school stuff, actually. But I kind of had a guts full, and I was like, I'm done with this. I've achieved everything I wanted to in academia. To some level or another, more would have been good had the way the whole thing is set up been more sustainable for me. It wasn't, so I got out of that. I spent several years after that, again, doing a period of just doing jobs. Like I worked in a sawmill for a couple of weeks until I was like, nah, no. I worked in a factory that manufactured supplements, pills and potions and things that people, did that for a while. And that was when I actually first came back to New Zealand, was when that was happening. So I'd moved back from I'd called time on the academic career, which finished in the UK. Then I came back to New Zealand. And it was just a re-establishment of everything. So it was like, what are you going to do for a job now? You're not going to be an academic. I don't know, go and work in this factory, whatever, for a while and think about it. Fine. So we did that. And it was around that time that a friend of mine said to me, have you ever thought about doing a YouTube channel and being like an influencer? And I was like, oh, what now? It had to be explained to me by this guy that the people that were doing YouTube channels weren't just doing it as some hobby because they just wanted to be on YouTube. I couldn't conceive of how could you possibly make money by doing YouTube? How does that work? I had no idea of the economy, how it was set up, or any of that. So I had to have all that explained. I said, oh, well, fine, I'll give it a crack. I mean, I've always been one who could generally rally people to a cause. I should be able to attract people. I just need a gimmick. So I decided right from the beginning that my gimmick was going to be, I'm going to be abrasive and sweary. I was going to use short words and call people out and and all of this kind of stuff. But whatever I'm doing that and playing that character for the click and for the intrigue and the entertainment, I'm actually going to give good information while I'm doing it. So I'm going to educate you before you realize I've done it. And then you'll get hooked and you'll keep following me. And, that works some of the time, and other times people don't like it. Fine.
Well, it definitely worked for me.
There you go. These days I'm a bit more, I'm a bit less abrasive, a bit less overtly sweary for the sake of the swear words, shall we say. And I'm trying different things because you've got to be agile. You've got to keep ahead of the trends. You've got to stay in line with what the algorithm of the YouTubes wants to stay relevant to that algorithm so that your material ends up in front of a large enough audience to make that worthwhile.
Your views gone up lately, because I know last year you had around 3,500 views, more or less, on a video, up to 5,000, and now you get around 10.
Well, one or two of my videos recently have done okay, but I've also the thing with the YouTube system is it has an algorithm that either promotes your stuff out to a wider audience or it doesn't, and there's obviously settings everywhere in between. It's like a continuum, and it's the algorithm that decides on instruction from the people at YouTube who decide what's in the algorithm. It tells YouTube which videos are going to succeed and which ones are going to be kind of held back from their natural organic success rate. So, one of these days, maybe we'll make it big. I'll just keep telling the truth. And I'll keep telling the truth in a manner that's as engaging as I can, using the tools at my hand or at my beck and call to do the best I can to get myself in front of as many people as I can to get this message out there. And the results seem to fluctuate up and down here and there. I have successful periods where there's growth and everyone's happy and all of that. And then there are periods when the channel doesn't grow and the views are pretty ordinary and it's a slog. That just seems to be the nature of the beast.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same for me. 6 months ago, I had 12,000 views a month per channel, which was a new channel. So I think it did okay. And in the space of a month, it went to 1,000 views a month.
Cool. Yeah.
It's crazy. Some of my videos got banned from TikTok. I was talking about food pyramid and stuff like this, and they just got banned straight away. So I have to be careful what I'm talking about as well.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. It's always going to be harder for us, Bart, because we want to give people the truth, and it doesn't align with earning big pharma money.
Yeah.
So we always going to be behind. I think one day the truth's going to come out. I think a lot more people are going to start believing what we're trying to say, especially you. But, you know, I'm doing the same thing. I talk about training, and I talk about how your mind works as well, about positive thinking and stuff like that. But, you know, it's very hard for people to believe what we're trying to say, because the knowledge they have is so embedded in them that they have to wake up and go buy bread rolls to make breakfast. That's what it is. People just wake up and queue in a bakery. That's what it is in Poland. When I walk out with a dog, 6 or 7 a.m., there's a queue in the bakery. And you know what's funny? The same people queue at doctors later for an appointment. It's the same people. The same problems, the same health problems, but it's so embedded that when I tell people, all right, eat some eggs and cut the flour out, they like cut the wheat out, and they're like, what am I supposed to eat eggs with? That's what it is. But when some dietitians or other coaches tell them, all right, you can eat your bread, but just eat less, you will be healthier, and you will lose some weight, let's say. Obviously, we're talking about body fat. They're like, all right, I can do that. I can spread what I'm eating. Instead of 2-3 meals, I can eat it 5 times. And this is great. I can still eat the things I want to eat, just less. But we all know it's basically bollocks, like Ted would say. So it's just crazy. But I think we can do it, Bart, because there's a lot more people aware, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I'm really grateful for you. So what you've been doing. All right, Bart, next question, my friend. Do plants actually want to kill us? Where do we get our antioxidants from? Because that's the main reason we eat plants, for nutrients and so-called antioxidants, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we all understand that plants are not thought to have a nervous system in the way that animals do, and as such, plants have no capacity to want one thing or another. If by you mean, do plant toxins, anti-nutrients, pro-inflammatory issues exist in reality? Yes, these things do exist. This isn't something that's been made up, some propaganda to try and counter the narrative of the healthy plants in our diet. You know, these are real substances that can be extracted from these plants, analyzed, measured in a laboratory. There it is. And we know what its effect on the human body is, because here is the research that shows what this stuff does and what's associated with, etc., etc., etc. The main take-home message to get through one's head is that most plants are rooted to the spot. That's where they are, that's where they live, that's where they die. They can't dive into a pond, swim away, fly away, crawl under a rock mostly, that kind of stuff that animals can do to attempt to defend themselves from being eaten. They have to have some kind of strategy, and so plants have evolved the strategy of poisoning their tissues so that when animals try and eat them, it's a bad thing for those animals. Most plant toxins are evolved for maximum, most rapid effect on insects. They're designed to kill insects, most of them. Caffeine is an example. Caffeine is a powerful insecticide. That's how it evolved. That's why it evolved, because of that's its effect. The fact that it has a completely different effect on a human system is completely beside the point. That's just a coincidence. But you know, that's basically how that works. So yes, plants do not want to be eaten. The toxins that plants contain may not be the kind that will kill a human stone dead quickly. In the case of some plants, there are some plants that will kill you stone dead quickly if you eat them. But the ones that we call food, the ones that we generally eat fairly regularly, they're the ones I'm talking about. Do they contain toxins? Yes. Is that a problem for people? As far as I can tell, based on speaking to many thousands of people over the years about this, yeah, it's a real problem. Do people get better when we remove plants from their diet? Universally, yes, they do. That's what we're working with. Oh, but there's no science behind it, they say. Well, absolutely, but there's no science behind any field of human nutrition, because you can't lock people in laboratories and control their lives for decades. So we have to have prospective studies to make this kind of stuff up.
So the plants, they don't want to kill us, but they want to survive.
Yeah.
And anti-nutrients and chemicals is the way to go for them.
Yep.
Okay.
Spikes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What about antioxidants? Everyone is so obsessed about antioxidants. We need to get them from plants, because otherwise we are going to die.
Several issues exist with, or several problems exist with that logic. Antioxidants, as they would seem to suggest, are things that tend One, two, three. That's better, isn't it? Right. So
you're back,
antioxidants tend to work by counteracting the effects of oxidative damage on our tissues. What is oxidative damage to our tissues? That is when something interacts with those tissues and removes electrons out of that tissue, rips them away, steals them, abducts the electrons, if you like. An antioxidant is a substance that will donate electrons to a tissue that's saying, I need an electron here because it's been stolen. Where's my electron? Right? So it's imagined by those that don't understand this very well that the only place we can get antioxidants, things that will donate electrons to us, are things called antioxidants that we find mostly in plant-based so-called foods. Hence the argument that, well, if we don't eat plenty of plants, we'll get oxidatively damaged and we'll age quicker and die and it'll be horrible. Well, two problems with that. Number one, the body contains a powerful suite of antioxidants that are inherently manufactured by the human body, that run the major cascade of antioxidant work that needs to be done in a human body. So it's not reliant on the intake of any specific food or any specific so-called food-based antioxidant. Number two, there is a powerful water-based antioxidant of the nature of a vitamin C style, how it acts in terms of that we get from food, and that's uric acid, which you can expect to build up in your body if you eat a significant amount of meat. That's an antioxidant that we get from eating meat. Isn't that incredible? People say antioxidants come from plants. Well, sure, they do. But do you know you get them from meat as well? Like, there's one example. There are others as well, but that's just one example just to make the point. So that's the other hole in the logic. The third serious hole in the logic is this. if you could get electrons from something that wasn't food-based, then that would obviate the need to get the electrons from the antioxidants in the food, wouldn't it? You wouldn't need to do that anymore because you've already got your electrons from somewhere else. Well, we can get electrons from the earth by connecting ourselves electrically to it. Jobs are good in.
This is absolutely crazy. So the whole industry wants to believe us that we need plants for antioxidants.
Propaganda sold to you by an industry that's underpinned by money. They need to sell you antioxidants. They need to sell you fresh fruit and vegetables. They need to sell you the rainbow. Eat the rainbow, they say. Great. Show me someone who ever died of a deficiency of pink or red or green or blue. No, if they did die of a deficiency syndrome of a nutrition nature, it will have been that specific substance, won't it? This person died of an acute shortage of calcium, for example. Not this person failed to eat a rainbow of colours. They died because they didn't have enough red in their diet. Come on. But it's easy. It's a marketing ploy. It's easy to get people to understand that. Eat the rainbow, because that way you'll get lots of antioxidants and they'll save you from dying of being disconnected from the earth.
I bought into it. I have to admit, I bought into it years and years ago. I bought into it, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's marketed so well. It's so embedded in our minds that it's just crazy not to believe it.
Right now, my right hand is on a mouse pad, which is electrically connected to the earth. So if I'm sitting here working, doing interviews, editing videos, recording videos, whatever, in this office, I can be grounded the whole time. When we sleep, the bed we sleep on is grounded. There's a mat underneath the bed sheet that's connected to the earth. And then the electrical connection is made through body moisture through the sheet.
Wow, so you can connect even through the sheet.
Yep.
Wow, so basically one of the main reason we don't get connected is through our shoes, because of our shoes, because of rubber.
Yeah, and because we now live in houses that are electrically insulated, because we are so reliant on electricity supply and electricity safety and stuff. And we drive around in cars with tires that are made of rubber. Most people have disconnected from the earth entirely and get very little electrical connection to it. That's a real problem. It's a serious problem.
So the best thing, the best way to get antioxidants from is just walk bare feet.
Yeah.
On the earth, on the surface of the earth.
Yeah.
This is the way to go, like we always did.
Yeah. Or any of the methods I've just been talking about to so-called artificially connect yourself to the earth. It makes no difference. An electrical connection to the earth is an electrical connection to the earth. So either it's bare feet on the ground or it's my hand on my mouse pad right now. It doesn't matter. Same result. I am grounded. Meaning I can absorb any number of the free electrons in the earth, on the surface of the earth, through the wire cable that's in the stake in the ground outside, into the mouse pad, and then from the mouse pad into my hand that's on that mouse pad. And those electrons can go directly to any of my tissues that might be oxidized and repair that damage. I don't need any antioxidants in my diet.
I mean, the face some people make when you tell them stuff like this, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It still is. It's absolutely crazy.
Has gone down over recent generations in terms of what you would expect the average adult to know and understand. I think it comes from this societal change that's occurred really in the last few generations, where every child wins a prize and your opinion is valid too because you have it. That kind of problem. Anyway, that's for another day.
I'll tell you something funny, Bart. There was a girl who contacted me a couple of months ago, I think, for a consultation. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. We had a consultation. She had some kind of operation. So she was rehabilitating and stuff. And I'm like, okay, there's a few things I can help you with. First, cut out all the wheat, cut out all the grains. Second, you need more building blocks for the recovery after operation, which is amino acids, which you can get from meat. Okay, and simple stuff like that. And then she couldn't walk that well, so I said, it was a sunny day, so I said, go out, walk on the grass bare feet, or meditate, sit out on the grass in the sun and meditate, and start telling yourself that you are recovering, that you are getting healthy. And the minute I start telling her this stuff, she just stopped talking to me, stopped replying. She wanted,
you're a nut now.
Yeah. She thought I'm gonna give her maybe a training program, maybe a diet program, which people always want when they contact a coach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was telling her stuff which was crazy for her, and she bought a few consultations for a whole month, and I'm like, she used one. She used one, and then I was messaging her things to do which can help improve her health every day. You know, like a simple things to do, like meditation, like going into the sun. And I said, you know, the less clothing you can wear, the better for you, because you can absorb more vitamin D. And I said, don't look at the sun, just close your eyes and just feel the sun on you and feel the sun healing you, because that's what sun do. Sun is healing. And I said, don't use any creams, just go as naked as you can. And yeah, she got those information, and that's it. She didn't use the rest on her consultation. She just stopped talking to me.
You get that. You get it.
What was the main reason? I don't know, but it's just crazy. But that's how people react on the information we give to them. It's still ridiculous for most of people, and I'm sure it's still ridiculous when people go on your channel and hear all this stuff, and because of that, a lot of people are still making a lot of views out of telling how crazy you are on their channel. How crazy is your information on their channel? They get many views, and people are like, yeah, Bart Kay, he's telling you to walk bare feet for antioxidants, or eat just meat, eat like a lion. Crazy, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there are people who want to push a certain agenda, and if they get their nose out of joint with me because the agenda that I'm pushing is different from their agenda, they will use any tool at their disposal to try and cast aspersions on or cast doubt over somebody else, up to and including, as we've already talked about today, they will pretend that your academic career didn't exist, that your credentials don't exist, and that you've made them up. They will try to make videos that try to say, look, here he is lying about something because I gave two slightly different numbers for the same thing in two different videos. Or they outright lie and misrepresent what it is you have said. They strawman you and say, Bart Kay said such and such. And 99 times out of 100, when I hear myself reported back by somebody else, Bart Kay said such and such, generally my response is, the hell I did. No, I didn't say that. What I said was X, Y, and Z. So yeah, you just have to get a thicker skin about such things. The longer you go on, the more well-known one is as a social media influencer with strong opinions that are going to be polarizing. I have had to teach myself to really thicken up when people start taking personal ad hominem shots at me. Sort of thing, and go like, number one, they're attacking the character, and I keep being at pains to keep saying to people, this is a character, for God's sake. This is a YouTube channel. This is not a classroom. I'm allowed to put some play acting into this to make it a bit fun and entertaining. So if you're attacking what's being said and how it's being said, you're actually attacking that character and not me personally. Number two, let's have a look at what it is I've actually said in terms of the information. And you explain to me what I've got wrong and how exactly, rather than taking pot shots at me. That's usually a pretty short discussion after that point.
Yeah.
Because usually when I say to someone, well, you explain to me what I've got wrong, in fact, in anything that I've said of any meaning here, and I'll be grateful to hear it so that I can correct myself in future.
Mm-hmm.
I've given that opportunity many times to people to tell me, okay, great, what have I got wrong?
Yeah. It's really sad that you spend hours and hours a day to give people knowledge so they improve their health and they improve their well-being, and you're still being attacked and you still have to defend yourself many times over, isn't it?
Yeah, you say I have to defend myself, and sometimes you choose to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know what you're saying, but actually I could choose to ignore all of it completely.
But you don't.
I don't personally. If I think something is going to be worth getting even more views out of or milking to its degree, like the argument I was having with Greg Douchebag. You know, that was worth, I don't know how many views that was worth, but it was tens of thousands of views on a video about how that had kicked off. You know, I'm not only about the exposure. I'm not an exposure whore. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But what I am trying to do is get my face in front of as many people as possible, so that they can work out for themselves. Those of them with more than 3 brain cells that I'm actually quite clued up, and I've got some knowledge here that they should probably stick around for.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's the subterfuge hook. It's to get you by shock and awe. But once I've got you, you realize, oh, shit, this guy actually knows what he's talking about too. That's kind of the plan. It's worked reasonably well over the last few years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you are going after the most influential health and fitness gurus on YouTube ever. And you make them look like kids in the school.
Yeah.
You really are. And I appreciate it a lot, because I'm sure it's not easy going after those people. I'm sure it's a lot easier now because you're doing it for so many years.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes it's a big backlash because you probably have so many negative comments under your videos, under your channel. How can you do that? How can you do this? But yeah, I'm sure it made you stronger. And like you said, it gives you a thick skin, innit?
Yeah.
Good. Well, keep doing what you're doing, Bart. It's absolutely amazing. You mentioned that the beef should be the majority of our food intake. Yeah? So what is going on with the ribeye? How is it that so many people thrive on it?
Yeah.
I'm the one out of those people. Okay. I can live on ribeye and that's it. I just order another 6 kilograms of ribeye and I'm fine.
I think that the difference between one cut of beef and another cut of beef is neither really here nor there. It's in that 5% of stuff at the end of the day, sort of thing. So I don't think it matters where on the beast the meat came from. Beef is great. Why do you thrive on it? Because it contains everything you need. Beef and associated beef fat. Add butter if you like, which is another different form of beef fat. But there you go. Maybe a bit of unsweetened natural style Greek yogurt here and there in your diet, no problem. Maybe some cheese, maybe some eggs, fine. Everything else, all other meats, so we're talking all the pork, all the poultry, all the seafood, everything else, very small portion of your diet, you won't be short of a damn thing. It's got everything. It's nutritionally complete and dense.
So you had cows, they have all the nutrients we need, yeah?
Yeah.
So all the vitamin C, we cannot get deficient on vitamin C when we eat just beef. Because I've noticed I feel the best when I eat just beef. And for me, the best cut is ribeye. And I thrive on it. And when I eat beef, I feel like I don't need anything else. I really don't. Once a day, as much as I need. Sometimes I eat more, sometimes I leave it on a plate.
Yeah.
To eat to satiety. And this approach is the best thing that ever happened to me. It really is. It's simple, but it's so pure and rejuvenating. It's just crazy. I feel when I eat just beef, Bart, I'll tell you something. I feel like I'm a descendant from God, guiding humanity to a better future. Okay. But when I add carbs, when I add flour, when I add anything else, okay, I'm feeling like I'm shutting down, like I'm going into the box, with illnesses, with depression, with low self-esteem, with questioning my life, questioning my future, questioning what I'm doing right now. That's the difference between thriving on meat and being a waste of space, feeling like a waste of space, adding other things to my diet. Explain it. Why this is such a big difference between eating something we should and basically eating something we shouldn't.
Well, I mean, there it is in a nutshell. When you eat the right thing that your body is geared up to thrive on and to gain nutrition from, the thing that we've evolved along the lines of large ruminant animals as the basis of our diet, then we get all the nutrients we need. We get none of the nonsense we don't need that pulls our health status down, and we feel great. Add some stuff in that you shouldn't be eating and you'll pay the price.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Bart, another question. What it is that our diet is so close to what lions eat, and why is it so good for us? It's crazy. Imagine telling someone who lives on carbs and who never heard about carnivore diet, and you tell someone who goes to doctors, who take pills, who eats bread and everything else like everyone else, and you tell him you need to eat like a lion. Your health will improve.
Oh no, this is clearly ridiculous. We can't possibly be carnivores, you see, because we don't have sharp, pointy teeth.
Yeah,
like this. Obviously, all claws. To which, obviously, the answer is we'll go and have a look at the cave paintings and see if you can see pictures of ancient hunting men diving headlong at woolly mammoths with their mouths open and their claws extended to try and take them down. Or perhaps was there another methodology that humans used to take those beasts down? Perhaps some kind of other tool. Anyway.
There were never pictures of men going around with baskets picking fruits and vegetables, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't see that. The other thing you don't see is you don't see people standing around a computer terminal entering their food intakes for the day into chronometer to see whether or not they've met their targets of everything. You won't see those kind of images either. Why is our diet so close to what lions eat? Just is. I mean, lions and people have evolved in parallel, not from the same ancestor recently. I mean, the nearest closest shared ancestor with lions would be a very, very, very long way back. And we had diverged evolutionarily away from that shared ancestor to a point where up to about 5 million years ago, we were small primate animals living in trees off leaves and fruit and stuff. A few insects here and there, tiddly-pom, whatever. And we only really started to get back to eating meat as a means to gain nutrition about, as I say, about 5 million years ago. Yeah. So it's not that we both evolved along the same storyline. We didn't. And we have different strategies for getting that meat, but nonetheless, that's the food of choice for both lions and us. Yeah.
So basically, we should eat like a predator, which we are.
Well, we are predators. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Human beings are scavenger, predator, hunter-gatherers, or were in terms of our evolutionary past, the way we've evolved as a species. And I think the emphasis on scavenging, at least at the very beginning, if not ongoingly, is probably understated. I think humans scavenged more carcasses by scaring lion packs off them, for example, than we're given credit for. Like, it also would line up with the fact that when a lion takes down a beast of that nature, the first thing it eats is the organs and entrails and stuff, and it doesn't get to the muscle meat until last. So if humans arrive in time and scare the lions off, we get the lion's share, sorry about that, of the muscle meat, and the lion's got the share of the entrails, and the lions are happy because they got everything they needed from the entrails and a little bit of the muscle meat. And the humans were happy because they got all the muscle meat they needed. We didn't want the entrails anyway. You know, it could be quite a good symbiotic thing. That we just imagined to have always been at odds with lions. Well, maybe not.
Cool. Bart, you are the first person on the internet who brought up Randall cycle. I never heard it before. Still not a lot of people are using it. Please, can you explain what it is and why it's so important to our health?
Yep, cool. Just a quick correction on the spelling. It's Randall cycle with an A.
Yeah, with an A.
Yeah, with an A. But other than that, fine. It was put together by a bloke called Randall. Sir Philip Randall it was. But that's for another day. He discovered a part of the metabolic system whereby, in effect, to all intents and purposes, what it does is it causes a cross inhibition of sugar and carbohydrates from entry into the mitochondria, which is the part of the cell that does the oxidizing of the food and produces the ATP for cellular work. The analogy is two fat men trying to push their way through a revolving door at the same time so that neither one can effectively get through. It causes all sorts of issues of reducing the energy available in a cell by way of the redox balance is often thrown off. The pH can be thrown off slightly. The energetic state of the cell basically becomes negatively affected, and so the cell function becomes negatively affected in a lot of different ways. In order to protect themselves from damage of too much sugar, what cells do basically as a consequence of the Randall cycle is the GLUT4 transporter, which generally allows glucose to enter a cell, is switched into a configuration where it no longer allows glucose to pass. Because the cell has already got enough glucose in it, and we don't want more glucose coming in because the concentration of glucose outside the cell is even higher than that. So we just lock the door, basically. That, to all intents and purposes, is what the Randall cycle is. It's a means by which cells protect themselves from the damage of having too much energy-containing food substrate in the cell cytosol in the form of sugar, which is the one that will damage the cell.
Okay, so Randall cycle, is it dangerous for us?
Is it dangerous for us? It exists because it's encoded for in our very genes. The enzymes that make up the metabolic componentry that we collectively call the Randall cycle is there because the genes that encode for it have survived at least 4,000 million years. It's a protective mechanism when it works collectively. What it's supposed to do is protect the cell from the damage of the excess glucose, and that's what it does.
So what happens with this excess glucose?
Well, it's got several choices. It can go back to the liver and be reconstituted in the form of a starch ready for use at another time. It can also go through a process of de novo lipogenesis. De novo means new, lipogenesis means the creation of fat molecules. We make fat out of sugar, is what I'm saying, and then that can be stored in our bodies as fat. It's one of the reasons that people that tend to be overweight and get fatter and fatter every year, that's what's going on a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Excess blood sugar is being transmuted into fat. So that's another outlet. If your blood glucose is excessively high, then you can actually urinate glucose out as well.
Wow.
Hmm.
I didn't know that.
One of the kind of quick, rough and ready tests
Mm-hmm.
that can be done to determine, hey, has someone got type 1 diabetes going on? Is they will say, you know, piss in this cup. They'll test it for glucose.
Ah, yeah. It makes sense because you can pee out ketone bodies as well, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah. So what about Randall cycle and inflammation?
Yeah, if your Randall cycle is chronically activated all the time,
Mm-hmm.
what that tells us is that your energy level, the intake of energy is replete. There's enough energy coming in. If you take in more energy than that in any form, that can be problematic for various reasons. But one of the most damaging things you can do is to increase the level of sugar in your blood above what it needs to be to subserve your needs at that time. And if your blood sugar level is chronically elevated, then your Randall cycle is going to be chronically elevated and you are going to be chronically inflamed.
Which is very bad for us.
Very, very bad to be chronically inflamed, yes. Chronic systemic inflammation is absolutely, in my understanding, now with my cardiovascular pathophysiology hat on,
Mm-hmm.
Is absolutely causally involved in the process of heart disease,
Mm-hmm.
atherosclerosis, that is.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing seems to be, from reading the literature, true of many forms of cancer, most forms of dementia, diabetes, obesity, obesiogenesis, all the sequelae of that. All the big killers, basically, is what I'm telling you in terms of the things that kill people every year. All the big killers are all inflammatory at their root cause. And if you do something as simple as eat wrong, you can cause your body to be chronically inflamed, thus vastly increase your risk, your odds of developing one of these diseases. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned it because this is our next question. So this is obviously not the reason of animal fat and high cholesterol. Is high cholesterol really dangerous? Is animal fat really dangerous? Right. And you obviously answered what is the real cause of coronary heart disease and heart attacks.
Inflammation, absolutely. The underlying etiology, the cause, the trigger, the thing that needs to happen in order for heart disease to develop is inflammation in the first instance. A person without inflammation to speak of will not be affected negatively by cholesterol at any concentration. Cholesterol is not an irritant. It's not a problem. It's not a toxin at high levels. It's a high molecular weight alcohol, as it turns out, that is a vital constituent bit player in the health of human beings. For example, cholesterol is 50% by weight and volume of every cell membrane of every cell in your body. Cholesterol makes the myelin sheathing that coats your nervous system, allowing you to transmit messages rapidly from one end of your body to the other, sort of thing. Vitamin D cholesterol relationship is important to understand. Testosterone and estrogen, both made from cholesterol, for example. Many immune functions, etc. I could go on all day about cholesterol is vital in the body. So no, it is not the cause of a disease process, not whatsoever. There is no evidence that cholesterol or any component of the lipoprotein carriers that carry cholesterol are causal in heart disease either, in fact. It's also very interesting to note that when you look at a typical atherosclerotic lesion and you analyze the constituents of that lesion, that atherosclerosis, it turns out usually to be less than 1% cholesterol. And it's usually less than 1/10 of 1% cholesterol. And yet they'll say cholesterol-rich plaque and talk about this cholesterol-caused problem and talk about cholesterol gumming your arteries. No, the arteries are gummed by lesions, and those lesions are 1/10 of 1% or less made up of cholesterol usually. So what the hell are you talking about? Well, propaganda. It's complete propaganda. Yeah,
we need cholesterol to live.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
as simple as that. And lowering cholesterol is very, very dangerous for us.
Correct. Not do that.
There's few ways which we can lower cholesterol, which is not eating animal fat and then statins.
Neither is a good idea.
They're both very dangerous for us. And sometimes when I meet someone on a bodybuilding diet, which is basically broccolis, chicken and rice cakes and all the other stuff. And I say, how long you're on this diet? And they're like, oh, for a few months. And I'm like, you're gonna have thyroid issues. I guarantee you that. If you keep doing that, you're gonna have your hormone issues. You're gonna have your thyroid issues. You're gonna have cholesterol issues. That's what's gonna happen. And after a few months, majority of those people have thyroid issues. Majority of those people. And it's what it is. It's a lack of cholesterol, like you said, and lack of animal fat in a diet, which is...
the analogy is really, really simple. And it goes like this. Blaming cholesterol for heart disease is absolutely akin to turning on the television, seeing images of a major forest fire, watching for a few minutes, and then cursing at those damn firemen for causing that fire to occur. Because every single time you look at footage of a fire, those bastard firemen are there, aren't they?
They're there, yeah.
Every single time. They must be the cause of it. Let's blame it on them.
So animal fat is a necessity.
Yep.
Why is that? Why animal fat is so important to us?
Well, it's around several things. It's around the fact that we've evolved for roughly 4 million years, getting the vast majority of our so-called energy from animal fat. We are evolved in terms of our biological systems, our digestive system, our organ systems, the design of our bodies at large. We are geared up absolutely for animal fat. We're not geared up for plant-based fat at all. We're not geared up for low-fat diets. That's not how we're designed to work whatsoever. No. Again, what we're being informed by here are two things. One, our genetic evolutionary past in the last, most notably 350,000 years as a species, Homo sapiens. And that combined with anecdotes in a significant number now from people who have adopted this lifestyle of eating only animals and report back to us on how good it's been. Very few negative reports from anybody. And most of those are just people with their nose out of joint for some reason. Politics and the game of being a social media influencer and all that bullshit.
I mean, I can say the same thing. The life-changing difference when you add animal fat and when you add animal flesh to your diet, it's ridiculous. I never seen anyone, and I do it for a long time, who added protein to their diet and didn't feel better. And obviously eliminate few other things on the way, and didn't feel better. But I've seen a lot of people who didn't do it and felt tremendously worse, and their health just declined year by year. It just declines. And I've seen vegans in their 60s, which it's ridiculous how bad they feel. 60s, 70s, sometimes, you know. And they're just so skinny and so fragile. I can't even look at it. I can't even look at it. And that's what happens to people when they're going to eliminate animals, flesh of animals, and animal fat from their diet. That's what's going to happen to you, because I've seen it many times.
Yeah. And the thing that's very important is the association of the animal fat with all the fat-soluble nutrient that a human being requires.
Yeah.
Precisely because of that evolutionary, that's how it was packaged, that's how it was delivered, so that's how we should do it. Simple as that. That's it. Cool.
Good. All right, we're going to jump from animal fat to fiber.
Yep.
Okay, because we know we need animal fat, we know we need flesh of animals.
Yeah.
What about the fiber? Can we go for number 2 when we don't eat it?
Yes.
And where do we get it from when we don't eat plants?
Well, you don't get fiber when you don't eat plants, because that's where you'll find fiber. And the exact dietary requirement for fiber in human beings is the same as it is for carbohydrates, which is none ever. Fiber, if anything, seems to be problematic for human enteric function, gut function. All this propaganda that we've all heard, we've all been taught, fiber is crucial for bowel activity, fiber is crucial to protect you from bowel cancer, fiber this, fiber that, fiber the other thing. It's all propaganda. If anything, it looks like fiber tends to destroy gut function, not bolster or protect it in any way, actually.
It does to me. It properly ruins my gut. I had gut problems for most of my life. I'm 40 now, and for 24 years, I was frightened by crap in my pants every time I went outside my house. I'm going to be really honest with that, and that's because of plants. I never knew when I'm going to go to toilet. I always have stomach problems. I always had digestive issues through most of my life, and I didn't know why. I didn't understand. I thought it's stress. Doctors told me it's stress, but it wasn't. It was just plants. It really was. And everything stops when I eliminate plants. Everything stops. I'm more calm, and my digestive issues are all gone. All of them. My bloatness. I go to toilet every 3 days sometimes, and it's normal. I use so little toilet paper that sometimes I forget to buy it because it's just going to toilet is just non-existing for me right now, comparing to what was happening to me when I was eating plants. The difference is night and day.
That's the thing. If you eat a whole bunch of stuff that you cannot digest, you will get most of that back in your fitness.
Yeah.
If you eat solely meat and fat, which is almost entirely absorbable, there's very little left to waste. There's very little feces to produce. So you will go to the toilet less often, in smaller volume. Everyone wins. It's great for the environment.
Yeah, it is. It is great for everything.
Your opinion's important too.
Less water and less paper.
Yeah.
It is definitely.
Next question.
You don't need carbs and you don't need fiber, yeah? All right. Bart, we got a few questions to go. So calories.
Yeah.
Can you explain what is a calorie and why the world and even most of carnivore experts are so obsessed about them?
Yes. The calorie is a unit of measurement, and the thing that's being measured when you're using a calorie as the label for it is a unit of heat energy. Energy being a construct, energy being an idea, an invention of the human mind in order to put some kind of explanation upon an otherwise fairly incomprehensible set of circumstances, i.e. there's this magical, mythical thing called energy, which has effects on physical matter over time, causing work to occur. How do you measure the energy that has gone into something? Well, you can't, because it doesn't actually have a literal existence. It's not an actual thing. It's a construct. The thing that we're measuring is the work. And then we're ascribing that work having occurred to this thing called energy. in this case, heat energy. And the thing that we're measuring is heat when we measure a calorie. Heat of a bath of water of a certain volume surrounding a closed steel canister called a bomb calorimeter, inside which there's a sample of food of a given weight, which they then apply an electrical current, a vast electrical current, to rapidly, thus combusting that food sample, and heat is produced, and the heat propagates outwards through the space in the bomb calorimeter. It strikes the walls of the bomb calorimeter, or more accurately interacts with it, and causes the walls of that bomb calorimeter to warm up, and then that heat is passed on from the walls of the bomb calorimeter to the bath of water surrounding it. That's what we measure with a thermometer. Oh, look, the bath of water went up by 1 degree Celsius. That means 1 calorie of energy was released by burning that piece of cheese, or whatever the hell it was. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to have been cheese. I like cheese. Sue me. That's what a calorie is. It's a measurement of heat energy. Okay. What is heat? Heat is kinetic movement of molecules or atoms, as the case may be. It's rotation around whatever axis. It's vibration of multi-atomic substances that can wobble with the one atom with respect to another one. So an atom can't do that. It can just rotate or translate. Something that's 2 atoms, H2 gas, can wobble. And it can rotate around any axis, and it can translocate. Movement. Those 3 forms of movement put together, the amount of them in any given substance, is that thing that we detect, that we measure as heat. That's what a calorie is. It's a measurement of that heat energy. Then what we do is we invoke this thing called the law of conservation of energy, which was first proposed, I guess, by a bunch of people working in parallel that came up with various parts of it. I like to ascribe it personally to Emily Noether mostly. And what she did was provide us with mathematical reasoning through a thing called symmetry to assert that, in effect, what her math says is that energy, the construct energy, the thing energy, cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another form. And the total energy in a system is always conserved if that system is closed. In other words, can't exchange energy. That all makes perfect sense. Fine. It actually turns out to be not strictly, completely accurate or correct, but that's for another day. That doesn't matter right now. Don't get hung up on the fact that the law of conservation is wrong. Mm-hmm. To all intents and purposes, to most things that we're doing in our lives, it's valid, it works, it's fine. In the same way that Newtonian physics is fine for modeling how an apple will fall from a tree. It's not correct, but it works, so it doesn't matter. Fine. All right. So what we've got is this measurement of heat energy being released by food. Now, you know how I said that the heat being released propagates outward and strikes, or more accurately, interacts with the walls of the bomb calorimeter? What do I mean by that? What has actually occurred? What is the mechanism here of this heat transference? Well, the heat I'm talking about is in a form of a particle called a photon. Yes, those things that make up light. Heat is another form of light, if you like, at a different frequency that is not visible to our eyes. We don't see it as light. It's infrared, basically. But it has an energy. It has the capacity to do work on stuff. Photons can cause particles of matter to either attract or repel one another, depending on same or different electrochemical charge. So when a photon of heat strikes the wall of the bomb calorimeter, it will run into an electron, and it will cause that electron to go to a different energy level, etc. Enough photons hitting the molecules in that way in a piece of metal for long enough will start to cause that metal to vibrate, get hotter. Then that energy in those electrons is passed to the water by the creation from nowhere of a pseudo-photon, which then interacts with the water molecule and passes that energy out to the water molecule. It's a process called entropy, where energy wants to spread out throughout the universe over time. It's also thought of as that thing that gives us the arrow of time in the first instance.
It's a really, really deep explanation.
It is, but we get to the point of it here, and here is really
yeah.
The point of it is this. Can you please tell me, Patrick, what is the rest mass of a photon? Any photon?
I don't know.
0. No photon of light has any mass, spatial extension, or weight. You cannot measure it on a scale. That's not that stuff. Okay. When we're told we're consuming too many calories, therefore, we can only take that to mean that we are consuming too many photons of light somehow, all of which weigh nothing.
There's no matter there.
No matter at all. So if I weigh 70 kilos, I'm actually a bit under that these days, but let's say I still weigh 70 kilos. If I have a mass of 70 kilos and I add 10 billion photons to my body, how much does that increase my weight by?
0.
Right, because any number of zeros add up to 0. Same thing is true of exuding photons. It's not going to change my weight or my mass. The only way to change the mass of your body is to change the mass of your body. And the only way to do that from food use is to convert carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and alcohol into carbon dioxide and water. It's a mass exchange. It's a mass transference. It's mass in, mass out that affects your weight, not calories. The calorie is a measurement of energy, and energy is proposed to be relatively equivalent in one form and another. But what that fails to understand is that burning a piece of cheese inside a closed bomb calorimeter rapidly is not the same thing as what your body does with a piece of cheese. And as such, the actual effect of energy in different forms that your body will derive from that cheese may not bear any resemblance to the amount of energy that could be derived if your body was a bath of water surrounding a bomb calorimeter. Well, it isn't, I guess. It's just one of those things that it's easier to go along with for most people. So they do, oh, yeah, fine, equivalence of energy. Calories is not exactly what your body does with food. We understand that, but we don't have a better metric, so we'll just use this one. That's what calories are.
But it's completely inaccurate.
Completely. Vastly, wildly inaccurate in terms of its ability to gauge how much actual effective so-called energy your body will derive from eating that piece of food.
And on top of it, we don't know what the body will do with this energy. It has so many things to do that telling someone that, okay, you're going to get the energy from a donut and you can burn it while going on the treadmill.
We kind of do know what the energy will do. And it then comes to another point where you have to understand what entropy is rather than energy, because actually what's going on here is that human beings are entropy engines, not energy engines. Okay. Go back a little step further, another analogy, the planet Earth. Ignoring what you're told by those with an agenda to push, think about it logically. If I said to you, is the temperature of the Earth changing meaningfully day by day, week by week, year by year? No, that remains relatively stable and has done for while the temperature of the Earth has gone up and down in different epochs for different reasons and different things that have been going on. The planet's temperature is a fairly stable thing within, a relatively small temperature range, shall we say, average surface temperature, whatever. If you could even measure such a thing, which you can't, but there you go. What I'm suggesting to you is we're not gaining 5 degrees centigrade Celsius every day. We're not 5 degrees warmer we are today than we were yesterday. Next week, we won't be 35 degrees warmer. That's ridiculous. So what it seems to suggest is that there's a relative balance between so-called energy coming in to the planet and so-called energy going out. I mean, you go and ask 100 people on the street, what do you think we get from the sun? If you had to say just one word about what the most important thing is, most of those people say, well, energy is what we get from the sun. Or they'll say light, which is a form of energy, fine, whatever.
Or cancer, skin cancer.
Yeah, all that. But I say, like, what's the most important thing that we derive
Yeah, I know, yeah.
of benefit? Oh, yeah. Well, energy. We get energy from the sun. Okay, great. Well, how come our energy isn't going up if we're getting energy from the sun? The energy is just the throughput. What's changing? Because the energy out and the energy in is the same. Conservation of energy. The amount of energy received by planet Earth from the sun is the same amount of energy that the planet Earth exudes to entropy in space, pretty much. So what's happening is the energy is changing form from a relatively low entropy form, the photons of light from the sun, at a given wavelength or bandwidth of wavelengths, and the energy of that is being, the entropy of that energy packet is being increased, and then that energy is being dispersed at different wavelengths, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So what the planet is doing is taking a low entropy substance, interacting with that, and exuding a different substance of higher entropy in the same amount. And I'm using the word substance advisedly there because light is not a substance. We've already determined it has no mass. It's a form of energy, and mass is a form of energy as well. So that's the equivalence. Don't worry about it. Fine. Okay. So all of that boils down really to an assertion that the planet is an entropy machine. Over time, it changes energy from low entropy to high entropy. It's an anti-Maxwell's demon, if you like. If you understand any physics, you'll get that reference. The human body is the same. The human body is just like the Earth is. The human body is an open thermodynamic system. It exchanges energy in and out, and as such has a thermodynamic equilibrium, and as such the energy of your body is relatively stable. What changes in the human body is we take in energy, so-called, in a lowish entropy form, carbohydrates, fats, amino acids occasionally, and alcohol when it's present. And we change that relatively low entropy stuff into higher entropy stuff. But the amount of mass present remains exactly the same. We just exude some of that mass in the form of carbon dioxide gas and water, and we collect up some of that mass in the form of fat, and it's very, very small amount of carbohydrates and amino acids and proteins.
I mean, the way you explain it, I don't know how can anyone ever question your knowledge.
Well, because they have to. Because if I say to those people, okay, explain to me what I've got wrong.
Yeah.
So we're back to having got no answer to what have I got wrong. They have to go back to the personal shot. Your qualifications are no good. Your knowledge is no good. Oh, well, tell me why. That'd be great. That'd be fine. Please tell me where I've got that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. Bart, I have one more question for you today. I'm not gonna hold you anymore. Mm-hmm. I have tons of other questions for you, but if you're okay with it, it's gonna be for another day.
Yeah.
What are the main 3 health hacks you would recommend to our viewers to start right now to improve their health?
Yeah. Okay, number one, I would suggest strongly that a 100% carnivorous diet is the way to go. Remove all plants and all plant-related material from your diet, or get as close to that as you possibly can individually in your life. The closer you get to that, the better. Do not change your diet from whatever it is to what it should be overnight. Always change your diet slowly over 6 to 8 weeks to avoid upsetting your microbiome and setting yourself back months on your health journey. Please don't do that. Change your diet slowly. Remove the plant material and carbohydrates progressively over weeks. Okay? Hack number 2, I am a strong advocate of a range of nutraceutical supplement products made by a company called Cerule, C-E-R-U-L-E, for which I'll give you a link, Patrick, to the direct access so that your folks can just go straight there. The product that they market is a product that encourages your body to release your own adult stem cells into circulation, whereupon they do magics of the kind of renewing and repairing your tissues. So pretty much any disease process, breakdown situation, or wear and tear that you have in your body is subject to repair by excess adult stem cells. That's what this product line does. It encourages your body to release those resources to do that repair. And there is also ancillary products there that are highly anti-inflammatory, etc. So I strongly, warmly suggest that Cerule products are a very, very good idea at the link in the show notes underneath the video, basically. Or if it's not there for any reason, contact me on my YouTube channel, which is just at Bart-Kay, Bart-Kay, and you'll find me. You can get in contact with me there if it's not there for any reason, and I'll help you find
it. It will be.
Oh, good.
It will be. All the details will be there.
Yep. So 100% carnivore diet, Cerule products. The third thing I would suggest is grounding yourself electrically for as much of the time as is possible. For example, my mouse pad here, my bed sheet, my spending quite a bit of time outside on the grass in the summer, my walking in the water at the beach. Not on the dry sand, that's an insulator.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, glass is an insulating material. It's a dielectric. When you look at the overhead power lines, the high voltage power lines with those towers that have 4 or 6 of these lines that run through the countryside, and you see those pancakey things, those insulators between the wires and the...
Yeah.
That's glass.
So I can't get grounded by walking on a beach?
Not if the sand's dry. That's a poor conductor.
Oh my God.
So get your toes in the water.
So
get your feet in the water.
Yeah. So the grass is fine.
Yep.
What about concrete? If it's
concrete is not a great conductor either, unless it's wet.
Wow.
There you go.
Crazy. So let's just sum them up. Number 1, 100% carnivore. Number 2, Stansem Ultra.
Yep.
By company called Cerule. And number 3, walk bare feet in the sun and get grounded. Yep. By other means.
Yep.
All right. But thank you so much for your time. Another thing that you mentioned a second ago, can you please tell everyone when they can reach you? I misspelled that again. And get more knowledge from you.
Yep. The easiest way is go directly to my YouTube channel. That's the main sort of repository of things, and that's where I'm hanging out quite often. You'll be able to find me there. So I gave you that before, at Bart-Kay. You'll also find me on Instagram at Bart_K_nutrition, I think it is, something like that. And, there's a face pages page and a few other bits and bobs around the place. But just go straight to the YouTubes, and if you need to get hold of me, you'll find how to do that from there.
Yeah. I mean, the easiest way is just Google Professor Bart Kay, and you are all over the place.
True, I'm everywhere. I am the time.
You are every day. Bart, I'm so grateful for your time. So I'm grateful for your knowledge. Please keep doing what you're doing. I hope I can meet you for another round some other day. I have tons of other questions. I think we can spend 10 hours in here. and I would still need more knowledge from you. So thank you again for your time. Have a great evening, and I hope I see you soon.
All right, see you then.
Thank you. Bye.